So, first of all, I want to address the psychic in the room. Um, I
Uh,
I think it would be, I'd like to get together like some of the predictions over the last few years and actually maybe an episode, maybe just something we do and stick on the Facebook or something like to see which of these new Nostradamus have actually kind of
yeah.
made the most correct predictions.
All right. So before, because we're gonna forget, and this is time's gonna get on, right? So let's quickly. You're gonna cover the AI predictions. You said there was more,
Yes. So,
so let's go with that first.
right. So,
I'm gonna pour a
um,
beer in case anyone wonders what that noise was and you're not watching.
so the AI at Baba Vanga, um, which basically they programmed with her predictions. They gave it her background and everything like that, and basically made said go.
Yeah.
So um, for 2025, the Sun reports that AI Vanga predicted a devastating war in Europe, echoing the prophecies of Nostradamus. It also foresaw the re-election of Vladimir Putin. I mean, that one's, you know, if the AI is programmed with current events. Um, it's foresaw further destruction in 2025, including massive earthquakes, particularly along the US West Coast. These events are expected to cause widespread loss of life, mass displacement, and significant damage to infrastructure. It's never nice stuff, is it? Oh, no, literally. There you go. Hot off the press. Another link.
Wyrd Wessex is going to be the top rated podcast of 2025. Yes. Go AI.
However, not all of Ao Vanga's predictions are grim. She also predicted the major advancements in science, um, including breakthroughs in lab grown organs that could revolutionize transplants and significant progress in cancer treatment, possibly leading to a cure in the future.
Oh, I see. I was thinking lab grown meats for
So you
consumption.
so you can finally taste human
Yeah.
man
Bit,
flesh.
bit of long pig. Meat's back on the menu, boys.
The other white meat. Um, it also predicted that telepathy would finally become a reality next year.
Oh
By
dear.
2028, the AI expects the humans will begin to explore Venus as an energy source, and that by 2076, communism will have spread to countries all across the world. While Baba Vanga's
Wow.
predictions continue to captivate many, experts urge caution in taking them at face value, noting
Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. So what year was communism? 76?
76 will be dead. Well,
But
maybe.
this started off with predictions about the end times. How long are the end times?
So it's the beginning of the end times. The end times are taking quite a while, I guess.
All right,
But
well, it won't be in my lifetime then, will it?
well, the end time, it's she predicts up to 50, 70 something. While Baba Vanga's predictions continue to captivate, many experts urge caution in taking them at face value, noting that these interpretations are highly subjective and some have failed to come true. I bet they have. The links underneath Europe and World War Three. Oh dear. Um, yeah, I don't
Hmm.
know when the AI Vanga was actually made. Um,
Doesn't matter. We're living in a simulation, so it's
we
all
are,
right.
I guess, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so yeah, I mean, any there, sort of some of that stuff towards the end was quite hopeful. You might get your long pig.
Yeah. Yeah. We can finally taste the human leather.
That's it. Another psychic talked to the Metro. This was actually a couple of years ago. Actually, I think we covered this, saying how Prince Charles was going to abdicate in five
Yes,
five
that has
years.
come up.
So
Yeah.
we got 3 years to go. Um, do you want to talk about the episode? Any more thoughts on it?
The script was really well written. The jokes were funny.
I wrote this one under my pseudonym, Craig Brooks.
Yeah. You gotta write an episode one day.
I've written a couple. I've written a few. I'm working on one at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's But you said it could be mass. What's the word? It's late. Mass stuff.
Mass
But
stuff.
yeah, you know, there's a lot of reports. I think Peter Paget's probably gone off the deep end, as we said, on some of that stuff. But I think the sightings in Wales were genuine. As usual, they do revolve around military, so there is that question of whether it's actually just human activity. There's some
Mm.
stuff we didn't mention, like the site itself. It turned out because it's not used anymore. They were using some like underwater technology. There's a lot of stuff going on underwater, um,
Yes.
which might explain some stuff that I've just realized now is in a different script that we haven't done yet, guys. So this is a heads up for the next for the one with the Coombs family. There's some stuff about this stacked rock, um, which is really fucking bizarre. But then you start to wonder if maybe that's just more to do with the US military placing cables and stuff. I don't know. Um, it's certainly a weird case, and as I say, it's going to get weirder when we do the Coombs family.
So,
There's some stuff that's definitely impossible coming up.
so tying into what you mentioned earlier and the Baba Vanga as well, incidentally, it's that is another one of Baba Vanga's predictions is we will learn a lot more about alien life this year, and it's going to coincide with a major sporting event, apparently. Maybe this will be a sailing race, so come from under the sea. Who knows? It doesn't say which sport.
It's when they're doing like a sailing race and this alien creature just comes up out of the water and swallows all the contestants.
Cthulhu style. Have you seen
uh,
Tomorrow War?
don't think so.
It's who is it? It's Chris Pratt, I think. He's this
Oh, I think I started it and I got a bit annoyed with it and turned it off ages ago.
yeah, like there's aliens have invaded in the future, and it's like in the middle of like a World Cup. I think it's Qatar, like World Cup, like the World Cup final. Like all of a sudden, like someone's just about to score, and like all these people appear out this portal, and it's people from the future coming back. Maybe it'll be like that, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. The AI Vanga didn't mention that, by the way, but it did mention England winning something this year, so who knows? Um, but going back to the aliens, I think I'm I said I'm with Paul. Paul was a lot more skeptical than I thought he'd be initially.
Yeah.
Have you chatted to him about this stuff, the Welsh Triangle at all?
Nope.
Maybe get him to watch the episodes. I'll get him to. He watches us anyway. Um, um,
Yes, he'll see it.
I think we'll need to revisit this at some point with him.
Because after the Rendlesham Forest episode, he phoned me up
Okay.
and
And said,
he
"You've
was
got it all wrong. Such bollocks. Let me write it."
actually said it's one of the best versions of the story he'd heard anyone
There you
do.
go. I will give you
Um,
that. I will give you that. Great.
and he was on the phone for a good. He was on the phone for a good hour talking to me about this. That's why I was like, Paul, you need to come on the show. Just come on and we'll talk about UAPs.
We're now in a WhatsApp group with Paul, and we get a fair amount of stuff thrown at us by him. So there's lots of future content there potentially. Um,
Oh yeah, and just I don't know, random stuff to talk about. So I was speaking to my mind's gone blank now. What's his face from the Bigfoot episode? Eric, yes, Eric. I was WhatsApping Eric today. And he might have a potential future guest for us. He's got a guy from
yes.
Cambridge that's going to the US who is doing a thesis on Ivan T. Sanderson.
The
And
father
yeah,
of cryptozoology.
yes. And he traveled the world in search of unproven animals and monsters. So he thinks that this guy from Cambridge potentially would be a good guest. He's going to kind of feel it out for us and see what happens there.
It's very much fitting in my other weird news, which you'll have to wait till the next episode for.
Oh, but did we not say that on this it was going to come
All
out?
right, fuck it, fuck it.
Oh
You
no,
just
was this
want
the dark story?
it's not dark, dark. It's just not as nice. Though now I'm thinking maybe it is not as bad. um, I can do it now if you want. You've got to help me find a weird news for the next episode. We're recording back to back. We do that sometimes. I might change the
No,
shirt so it doesn't look like we're recording back to back. Who knows?
no. Listen, the next episode doesn't have a weird news because it's a Patreon bonus episode.
Okay. All
So
right.
Patreons, you're going to get a bonus weird news now because on the Patreon episode you won't get one. How's that?
That's it. That's all right. That's fair. That's fair.
So you're a week out. So in a week's time, so everyone else won't get an episode for 2 more weeks. If you're watching this as it came out, in a week's time, you're going to get an episode. Still based around the Welsh Triangle stuff, but fairly recent. I think it was 2009. And if you think Peter Paget went off the deep end, well, you haven't seen anything yet, guys. So yeah, let's end with Andy's weird news because
But before I do,
Hmm.
did any of those? I don't know if any of those clairvoyant psychics knew Nostradamus. I don't know if any of them predicted anything about Canadian politics because I just had that flash up, literally hot off the press. You heard it here first. Well, probably not, but this is where it first came out. Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, has just resigned.
And you're breaking this to me live on the podcast.
I'm breaking it to you live on the podcast.
And you're expecting me to record another episode after this. What?
I know. Shocking.
How am I going to go on? This changes everything.
Yeah. So he says he cannot keep silent about UFOs any longer, and he needs to reveal all. Anyway,
and live from Canada, we've got just for the Patreon. No, it's not. Why did you do that story? That's a bit weird because not really.
That wasn't my story. That came up on the page that my story.
I thought that was
is
your dark
on.
story.
No, it's a dark day. It's a dark day, probably. I don't know. I don't really follow it. Anyway, my actual weird news comes from the BBC, and it came up on New Year's Eve.
Congratulations.
Two men found dead while searching for Bigfoot. Two men were found dead in a remote forest while searching for Sasquatch, also commonly known as Bigfoot, according to authorities in Washington state. The two men from Portland, Oregon were found dead after a 3-day search was launched after a family member reported the pair had not returned from a trip to the Gifford Pinchot National Forest to search for proof of the mystical hairy forest-dwelling bipedal primate. That's a lengthy name. The search goes on to talk about the brutally cold weather. They found the car belonging to the victims nearby, and the search refocused to the areas found in. Drones were used, and a Coast Guard helicopter team was called in to help with it. They have not provided the names of the two victims. They're aged 37 and 59. It is believed that the weather conditions turned against them, and it had been frigid the days before and during the search, which included snow.
I'm disappointed. I was hoping you were going to say they were found with gash marks across their bodies.
I was kind of hoping this.
I mean, that sounds like a horrible thing to say. I was hoping they were torn to shreds. No.
In the area, there has been so many alleged sightings of the Sasquatch that some communities around there have taken measures to protect the hairy mythical creature. In Skamania County, where the pair went missing, a person could get a year in jail or £1,000 fine if one of the folklore creatures was harmed. So they were, I don't know whether they were poaching it or whether they were actually just looking for proof of it. It said proof, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But they believe, they haven't released a cause of death, but they believe it was due to exposure and ill preparedness. So
Wow.
kind of reminded me again when you mentioned Eric. Oh yeah, that's my other weird news. But
Do you know, I had a weird
yeah,
news that I was going to use, and then I realized that it was from 2 years ago.
I nearly did
Uh,
one of those.
and it was very not similar, but it was about a lady that had been she'd I think her car had broken down and she'd been partly eaten by something.
Damn.
They think it's probably a badger or a fox, but yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
Was this in the UK?
Yeah,
Fucking hell.
I think it was. I saw it on. Uh, this sounds like we're just plugging past guests now. This was on the Facebook group for Paul McDonald's Big Cat Sightings of Scotland,
Ah,
and someone was blaming it on a big cat with zero evidence for it being a big cat. They got
yeah, that's the
slammed down
thing.
quite a bit, but and
I
then yeah,
will.
someone pointed out it was 2 years old. I was like, oh damn.
I will say that since that episode with doing the big cat episode, it my mind was sort of open to it a little bit more. It was I was surprised how much more I believed in big cats about. I mean, I'd always kind of believed it, but I just what I really liked was after that, well, before that for a bit of research, but also afterwards, I joined a few Facebook groups, and I was genuinely really impressed how diligent a lot of them are in saying, no, that's a fox, no, that's a badger, no, that's a domestic dog, in terms of sightings, but also of
Mm.
things that have been partially eaten.
There's a recent one that was a black cat just walking through a field, and then people
Yeah.
start to point out like the line of the fence and stuff, and like that's clearly just a big domestic.
Did they say, no, it's stationary, it's just your eyes making you think it moves across the field?
Hey, callbacks.
There you go.
Anyways,
Because,
guys, we're gonna round this off
yeah,
because we've got another episode to record before
we
I can go to
do.
bed, and it is a weekday, so we do need to go to bed at some point. Well, I do. I don't know about Andy.
I stay up all night and drink blood. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. Um,
Thank you
thanks
for
for
your
being yeah.
patronage.
Thanks for being Patreons.
Patronage, is that the verb? I don't know.
Patronage.
Yes.
Um, so yes, as of recording this, it is I think it's Lou, Richard, Connor, and Kaylee.
Yep.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it really does help. That's what keeps Craig in Guinness.
Remain indoors.
Do not talk about the event.